I am 37 years old. My partner is 27 years old, and my mom is 69 years old. I have IBS and constantly struggle with gastro issues. I lived in a toxic, abusive relationship for about 6 years. My ex got tired of taking care of me when I got sick and complained that I ruined everything we did. After that breakup, I got into a very bad depression. My mom had recently divorced, so when I recovered, I decided I wanted to buy my own place. Since she was alone and I was not thinking about being with anybody, I invited her to move in and rent her house. She got used to the new house quickly. 2 years passed and I met this guy. I got sick on the second date and he took me to the doctor. He started to plan our trips and dates around my issues. We were very well together. I love dogs, but my mom never allowed pets and he was very loving with street dogs. So I fell for him. I decided to introduce them and everything went fine. After 3 years, we decided to move in together and adopt a little dog from the street. My mom was uncomfortable, but okay with it. My boyfriend was diagnosed with a mental illness related to psychosis, but he was fine as long as he took his meds. When we adopted our second dog, my mom started complaining about the hair and the smell and contaminated food. From there, they started to have both bad days and good days. She would criticize everything he did, even when sick. She was horrible to him, telling him his food was gross and that she did not want anything from him. So we started to cook double meals. I have a full-time job and he has a more flexible schedule, so he was the cook. Assisting my mom put a lot of pressure on me, so we started to get more stressed and fought over stupid things. Their relationship got worse after we adopted our third dog, and he started to be very vocal and respond to her loudly. He would throw doors on his way out. I tried to deal with them and be neutral, but they would only blame each other and make me take sides. My IBS is even worse now. His psychosis is more frequent, and my mom is bitter. I had a nervous breakdown and started to go to therapy. My doctor advised me to live only with my partner, as my mom decided not to date or marry again and to stay alone. But that was not my responsibility, it was hers. I have 3 other siblings, and the fight started to move outside the house to them as they would guilt trip me for not defending my mom. I came to the conclusion that their relationship is broken and that she should go back to her own house or rent a place with her income from her house. When I told her this, she said that he was manipulating me and that I'm going into the same pattern again. She also claimed that she cannot live alone because she is older now. After 7 years, my boyfriend is still very caring for me and our dogs. He is very different when my mom is not around. But lately, he is always in a bad mood and basically gave me an ultimatum. Is it true that she is too old now to live alone? Am I blind to his aggressive side? I'm frustrated and don't know what to do anymore. Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Not the jerk for asking your mom to leave. You're the jerk if you continue to allow your mom to be hurtful to your spouse. However, your mother put herself in that position by not respecting your partner. Also, you helped create this. You should have never remained neutral and should have stopped her criticisms as soon as they started. You can continue as you are until your partner leaves and you will be alone with your mom again. Or you can stand up for your partner and make your mother move out. Comment 2. Tell your siblings it's their turn to step up to the plate and keep mom. You have had her long enough, help her pack her things up. When she starts with the bitter talk, look at her and say that you aren't interested in hearing it. You're tired, you're backsliding, and you want peace in your own home. I suspect that your boyfriend will become the loving man once again when your mother isn't constantly baiting him. He is a victim in his home right now, and his bully is your mom. Now for the update, thanks for sticking around for this update. So things have been going from bad to worse around here. Remember how I said my mom was getting on my boyfriend's case about everything? Well, it escalated big time. She started snooping around his stuff, trying to find something to use against him. And guess what? She found his old medical records from before he got his diagnosis under control. She waved them in my face, saying he was dangerous and I had to kick him out. I was furious. Not just at her invasion of privacy, but at the fact that she'd stooped so low. My boyfriend was livid when he found out, and they had a huge blowout. I mean, doors slamming, shouting, the works. It was the last straw for him. He told me it was either him or her. I felt trapped in a tough situation. Meanwhile, my siblings were no help. They kept calling, taking her side without knowing the full story. They said I was being heartless, leaving our mom to fend for herself. But they weren't there to see the daily battles, the tension, the way it was tearing me apart. In the middle of all this, my health took a nosedive. My IBS was out of control, and my stress levels were through the roof. I had to take time off work, which just added to the pressure. My therapist said I needed to make a decision for my own well-being, but it felt impossible. Then one day I came home early from a doctor's appointment to find my mom packing her bags. She said she couldn't take it anymore and was moving in with my sister. I was shocked. Part of me was relieved, but another part felt guilty, like I was abandoning her. But that wasn't the end of it. My boyfriend, who had been so supportive, did something that made me question everything. He went behind my back and contacted my mom's doctor, suggesting she wasn't capable of living on her own anymore. When I found out, I felt betrayed. It was a huge breach of trust, and it made me see that maybe he did have a controlling side I'd been blind to. I confronted him, and we had a long, hard talk. It was clear that the stress had changed him, made him act out of character. He apologized, but the damage was done. I realized that I couldn't live with someone who would go to such lengths, even if he thought it was for my benefit. So I made the toughest decision of my life. I told him we needed a break, that he had to move out. It was heart-wrenching, especially after everything we'd been through together. But I knew it was the right thing for both of us. We needed space to heal, to figure out if we could move past this. Now I'm here in the house, just me and the dogs. It's quiet, almost too quiet. I'm trying to pick up the pieces, to focus on my health and my job. My mom's living with my sister, and from what I hear, she's doing okay. My siblings have backed off a bit, seeing that I wasn't just being stubborn. It's been a rough couple of weeks, but I'm starting to feel like I can breathe again. I miss him, sure, but I also feel a sense of peace that I haven't felt in a long time. I'm hopeful that, with time, we can both find our way back to who we were before all this mess. Thanks for reading. My cousin moves in from Haiti and turns my house upside down. But when she breaks my laptop and lies about money, I make sure she's on the next flight back to where she came from with a one-way ticket and a lesson in gratitude. Over a year ago, my father brought over a cousin, Diana from Haiti. She had been living there for about 20 years, unbeknownst to us, and my father decided to bring her over to attend school, since the political and economic state of the country is in shambles. From the very beginning of her arrival, she has caused mental and physical stress to the other residents, other than my father, of the household for a plethora of reasons. We live in a starter home that is not very big. It only has 3 rooms. One for me, Giselle, my sister, and one for my parents. With her arrival, Giselle was forcefully removed from her room in order to house Diana, and to this day, Giselle sleeps on an air mattress in the living room. I voiced my displeasure with this to my parents, which fell on deaf ears, saying that it's Giselle's responsibility to give said room up, as it will better socialize her. I call nonsense. I'm made to be the bad guy. Awesome. Over time, she began to break a lot of the rules that Giselle and I would be thoroughly reprimanded for when we were younger, and would be reprimanded for now if we started back up. Leaving mountains of dirty dishes. She cooks a lot. Snack wrappers and trash all over the floors, turning the bathroom into a complete mess and not cleaning after herself, etc. She even put a giant hole in the wall of Giselle's former room, which to this day we have zero clue why she did this. Again, I voiced my displeasure, and again, I'm made out to be the bad guy. Within this, you'd begin to think that it's supposed to be my parents I should be directing my anger to, which I am. But Diana understands this dynamic and uses it to her advantage. My mother eventually got tired of hearing my nagging and gave her verbal warnings on multiple occasions about her behavior, to which she acknowledged, and then doubled down on her antics. Diana herself is plus-sized and has the high tendency to eat other people's food without asking or prompting others. When I complained about this, I was met with, "Oh, well, when you were 15 years old, you used to empty the fridge." I'm 23 years old. I stopped doing that the instant they began to complain about it to me. A couple of weeks ago, I found out that she was using one of my favorite t-shirts as a wet rag to wipe the floor after she finished showering. I voiced my displeasure, and again, I'm ignored. So in turn, I began to ignore her entirely. Diana asks for a ride somewhere. I say no. She asks for a favor. I say no. I don't acknowledge her presence in the household. I purposefully treat her as if she is a ghost. And then my parents tell me, Mac, you're such a jerk. As someone who has to pay monthly to live in said household, I'd appreciate some normalcy. So with all this in mind, Arthur, am I the asshole? Do you agree with them? Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Very first thought, Diana is not a cousin, she's a half-sister. Dad brought her home to stop her from telling everyone, and now she has got him by the balls. I would get a DNA test for myself and see what they come up with, and if I'm right, it breaks her hold on Dad. Seriously, I can't think of any other reason a cousin would be allowed to treat your mom and the rest of the family with such disrespect. Not the idiot. Comment 2. Not the idiot. You removed the drama of Diana from life, and I applaud you. She wants to act like a ravenous pig, let her, but not in your life. Where she and your parents have zero standards, you on the other hand do. Tell your parents and Diana you will act more civilized toward Diana the day she becomes civilized herself to deserve it. Now for the update. Thanks for sticking around for the update. So the other day, things went from bad to worse. Diana decided to throw a party without asking anyone. She invited a bunch of people over and they trashed the place. I mean, there was food and drinks spilled everywhere, and someone even broke the coffee table. My parents were out of town and I was left to deal with the aftermath. I was furious and Giselle was in tears because her air mattress got popped during the chaos. I cleaned up the mess because I couldn't stand the sight, but I didn't speak a word to Diana. The next morning, I found out she had taken my laptop to play music at the party, and now it won't turn on. That was the last straw. I confronted her, and we had a huge argument. She just laughed in my face and told me to chill out. I couldn't believe her nerve. I told my parents everything when they got back, and to my surprise, they were on my side this time. They were upset about the broken furniture and my laptop. They finally saw Diana's true colors. They told her she had to pay for the damages or find somewhere else to live. She threw a fit, saying we were all against her and that she had nowhere else to go. But here's where it gets even crazier. Turns out Diana had been sending money back to Haiti, a lot of money. Money she claimed she didn't have when it came to contributing to the household. My dad found out because she left her bank statement out in the open. He was so mad he could barely speak. He felt betrayed after all he'd done for her. So, Diana had to go. She packed her bags and left. Giselle moved back into her room, and we're all trying to get back to normal. It's quieter now, and there's less tension in the air. I'm still mad about my laptop, but at least I don't have to deal with her anymore. Thanks for reading. My mother complains about watching my kids, even though she begs to see them, so I cut her off and showed her who's boss by banning her from their lives forever. My EM, 34, and my wife have 3 children, a 6-year-old boy, a 7-year-old girl, and a 9-year-old girl, and we both chose to reduce our working hours to have more time to spend with them, especially in their younger years. We're financially stable enough to do this. My parents live in the same county as us, about a 50-minute drive away, so they are close by. From the day my eldest daughter was born, my mom said that she wanted to help out with childcare. We were grateful for the offer and wanted the kids to have a good relationship with their grandparents. However, we didn't want to feel dependent on my parents for childcare and would rather they choose to see their grandchildren whenever they wanted. Instead, my parents asked to look after the kids for 1 day a week on the same day every week. A bit of background. My mom has always struggled with her self-esteem, and this comes out as her being chronically scared of losing her family. In her mind, unless she has regular contact, we will drift apart. This has caused various problems over the years. My mom always talks about how hard her life is and how much she has to deal with. She seems to feel good when other people sympathize with how tough you have it. She has directed this a few times at us and the kids when she enjoys complaining about how much of our childcare she provides to her friends. When I've heard her do this, I've usually waited until after her friends have left before asking her if she wants to reduce her childcare. She always immediately refuses and says, "No, I love having the kids." Flash forward to a few weeks ago during the Christmas school holidays. My mom called and asked if she could take the kids for 2 days back to back, as she wanted to have them for a sleepover and had planned some activities. We didn't need her to take the kids for these days, but we were happy that she wanted to. Plus, the kids were excited for a sleepover. When I went to pick the kids up, I stayed for coffee, and her friend came over. Her friend made a comment along the lines of, "You've had the kids again?" And my mom responded by sighing and saying, "I know." I had had enough of this and called her out. I said in front of her friend, "Why do you always complain about having the kids when you are the one who asked for them, and you are the one who decides how much time to spend with them?" Things got awkward, and my mom's friend left. After she left, my mom called me a jerk for embarrassing her. We got into a big argument with me trying to explain that every time she does this, it makes me and my wife look like entitled and ungrateful parents who take advantage of her, when in reality, we've always tried to make sure she sees the kids on her terms. I suggested that it might be a good idea for us to reduce the contact she has if childcare is apparently such a burden and she feels so put upon. My dad called later and said my mom had been crying and wants me to make up, but I'm still so angry. I genuinely want to limit the time she sees my kids now. Am I the idiot? Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1, not the idiot. She's the one who made the hole for herself by making herself out to be the victim to her friends. You're exactly right that she made you and your wife seem entitled and like you're always dumping your kids off on her. Since this is her trend, maybe a bit of embarrassment for being called out in front of a friend will open her eyes. Probably not a bad idea to limit the time a bit, but not too much as your children clearly love her and the time they spend with her, so you don't want them to suffer because you're angry with her. Comment 2, not the idiot, but I would call a family meeting and set new ground rules. Like she needs to start seeing someone about her anxiety if she wants to continue the usual standard or something. This habit of throwing you under the bus to her friends will come to a head with your kids sooner or later. At the minimum, they learn grandma is a liar and grandma's lies are mean to mom and dad. Worst case scenario, she has them convinced you're dumping them on her because you don't want them. Now, for the update, thanks for sticking around for the update. So after that blowout with my mom, things went from bad to worse. My dad, bless his heart, tried to play peacemaker, but mom was having none of it. She went around telling the whole family how I'd humiliated her, twisting the story so I looked like the villain. My aunts and uncles were calling, taking sides, and the family group chat was a war zone. I was fuming, but for the sake of peace, I agreed to a sit-down with my parents. At the meeting, mom was all tears and apologies, but it felt off. She promised to stop the pity party with her friends, but the next thing I know, she's organized a family reunion, inviting everyone except us. Said it was a misunderstanding. Yeah, right. My wife was hurt, and honestly so was I. It was a slap in the face. Then my sister, who's always been the golden child, got involved. She told me I was being too hard on mom, that I should let it go. But I couldn't shake the feeling that mom was playing us all. My sister offered to take the kids for a day to give everyone some space, and I reluctantly agreed. That's when things took a turn. My sister, who's never been one for secrets, let slip that mom had been planning this reunion for months. It was no accident we were left out. It was a power move, a way to show me she was still in control. I was livid. My own mother using family as a pawn in her game. I confronted mom, and it was like a dam burst. She admitted everything, said she felt unappreciated and wanted to teach me a lesson. I couldn't believe it. My wife and I had always gone out of our way to include her, to make her feel valued. And this was how she repaid us? The final straw came when my eldest daughter overheard one of these arguments and started crying. She didn't understand why grandma was so mad at daddy. That was it. I told mom that if she couldn't respect us as parents, she wouldn't see the kids at all. It was the hardest decision I've ever made, but I had to protect my family. Mom was shocked. She never thought I'd go through with it, but I did. We stopped the weekly visits, and I could tell it hit her hard. She tried to reach out to apologize, but the trust was broken. It wasn't just about the lies. It was about using her own grandkids as leverage. The aftermath was messy. Some family members thought I was too harsh. Others agreed with me. But as the weeks passed, the dust settled. My kids missed their grandma, sure, but they were also less stressed, happier. My wife and I found a local teenager to help with childcare, and it's been a breath of fresh air. And mom, well, she's been laying low. I hear from my sister that she's been reflecting on her actions, realizing the cost of her manipulations. I don't know if we'll ever go back to how things were, But for now, I'm focusing on my family's well-being. That's what matters. Thanks for reading. If you like this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day.